Welcome back to the channel. I'm Algabot, and this is where we break down automated trading strategies for MetaTrader 5, one piece of logic at a time. Today we're exploring an expert advisor called Inside Bar Momentum. It pairs a classic 2-bar candlestick pattern, the inside bar, with a momentum filter built on the relative strength index. By the end of this video, you'll understand how it spots a compression in price, how it waits for momentum to lean in one direction before acting, and how it manages each position from entry through to exit. Remember, this is educational content only and not financial advice. Let's get into it. Let's start with the big picture. Inside bar momentum is built around a very recognizable chart shape called the inside bar. An inside bar forms when a candle trades entirely within the high and low of the candle before it. The older, larger candle is called the mother bar, and the newer, smaller candle is the inside bar. When this happens, price is compressing, almost like a spring coiling up, and traders often watch for the eventual expansion out of that range. On its own, the inside bar has a well-known weakness. In choppy, directionless markets, it produces a lot of false breaks, where price pokes out of the range and then immediately reverses. This strategy tackles that weakness directly by adding a momentum filter using the relative strength index, or RSI. The idea is simple but powerful. The strategy only acts on a break if momentum is leaning in the same direction as that break. A push higher needs RSI sitting above the 50 midline by a defined buffer, and a push lower needs RSI below the midline by that same buffer. Risk is handled with the average true range, or ATR, which measures recent volatility. The stop loss and take profit are both set as multiples of ATR, so the trade automatically scales its distances to whatever symbol and time frame you run it on. There's also an optional break-even feature that moves the stop up to the entry price once the trade has traveled a set amount in its favor. In terms of who this is built for, it's framed for traders who are studying volatility breakout concepts and want to see how a pattern and a momentum filter can work together. The defaults lean toward momentum-prone major pairs on the 15-minute or 1-hour charts. As always, trading involves risk, and losses are part of the process. Now let's walk through the mechanics step by step. On every newly closed bar, the strategy looks at the two most recent finished candles. The older of the two is the mother bar, and the strategy first checks that it's a genuine range and not a tiny indecision candle. It does this by requiring the mother bar's height to be at least 0.6 times the current ATR. That filter, called the minimum mother ATR multiple, keeps the strategy from arming on flat, meaningless bars. Next, it checks the newer candle, the inside bar. For a valid setup, that candle's high must be below the mother's high, and its low must be above the mother's low. In other words, it has to be completely contained. When both conditions are met, the strategy arms the trade. It records the mother bar's high and low as breakout walls and keeps them active for a set number of bars, by default, controlled by the expiry bar's input. If nothing happens within that window, the setup is canceled and the strategy waits for a fresh one. Here's where the entry logic comes in, and it runs on live price, tick by tick, not just at the close. For a long, two things must line up at the same moment. The asking price has to break above the mother bar's high, and RSI has to be above 50 plus the buffer, which by default means above 53. For a short, the bid price must break below the mother bar's low while RSI is below 50 minus the buffer, so below 47. If price breaks the wall whose momentum does not confirm, the strategy simply skips it. That counter-momentum break is exactly the false move the filter is designed to avoid. Once a position opens, risk management takes over. The stop loss is placed at 1.2 times ATR away from entry, and the take profit at 2.4 times ATR. That gives a reward target twice the size of the risk, a 2-to-1 profile. The optional break-even feature watches the trade, and once price has moved 1 ATR in the strategy's favor, it pulls the stop up to the entry price, so the position is no longer exposed to its original risk. Throughout, the strategy holds just one position at a time, tagged by its magic number, and never looks for a new entry while a trade is open. Let's read through the actual MQL5 code as it appears in MetaEditor. At the top, we have the inputs. RSI period and RsiBuffer set up the momentum filter, with the buffer defaulting to 3 points above or below the 50 midline. ATR period feeds the volatility measurement, and the stop and target multipliers sit at 1.2 and 2.4. The break-even multiple is 1. The minimum mother ATR multiple is 0.6, and the coil stays armed for 4 expiry bars. Lots and the magic number round out the settings. Now look at the long block. The condition reads, if the asking price is greater than the stored mother high, and the cached RSI is greater than 50 plus the buffer, then the strategy acts. Inside, it calculates the stop by subtracting the ATR times the stop multiplier from the entry, and the take profit by adding the ATR times the target multiplier. Then it calls trade.buy with the lot size, the symbol, those stop and target prices, and a comment. After that, it disarms the coil. The short block mirrors it exactly. If the bid price is below the mother low, and RSI is below 50 minus the buffer, the strategy prepares a sell. The stop is placed above the entry by ATR times the stop multiplier, and the target below by ATR times the target multiplier. Then trade.sell is called. Notice both sides are fully symmetric, and both require momentum to confirm the break before anything happens. Let's bring this to life on the chart, candle by candle, with the RSI panel running underneath. We'll trace a long trade first, and then a short. Look at that first wide candle on the left. This is our mother bar. It has a genuine range, comfortably more than the 0.6 ATR minimum, so it qualifies as a real coil rather than indecision. The very next candle is smaller, and notice how it sits entirely within the high and low of that mother bar. That is the inside bar. The moment it closes, the strategy arms itself, storing the mother bar's high as the upside breakout wall and its low as the downside wall, and it keeps that setup live for up to 4 bars. Now watch the RSI in the lower panel. Through the compression, it's hovering right around the 50 midline, so momentum is undecided and the strategy waits. On the third candle, price pushes up and breaks above the mother bar's high. At that same moment, RSI climbs above the green line at 53, the long gate. Both conditions agree, so the strategy opens along, and you can see the buy entry marker right at the break. This is the heart of the idea. The break alone isn't enough. Momentum has to confirm it. From there, price expands upward over the next 2 candles, exactly the kind of move the coil was storing energy for. RSI rises with it, confirming the push has strength behind it. Price reaches the take profit target, marked above, and the trade closes for a gain. Remember, that target sits at 2.4 ATR while the stop was just 1.2 ATR away. So this is a 2-to-1 reward to risk profile. Had price stalled instead, the break-even feature could have pulled the stop up to entry once the move traveled 1 ATR in favor. After the take profit, price pulls back and begins to compress again. Watch the candle in the middle of the chart with the longer body to the downside. That becomes a new mother bar, and the candle right after it is contained within its range, a fresh inside bar. The strategy rearms, this time watching the lower wall closely as RSI starts sliding beneath the midline. Then comes the breakdown. Price drops below the mother bar's low, and at the same time RSI falls below the red line at 47, the short gate. Momentum is now leaning lower, so the strategy opens a short, shown by the sell entry marker. Price follows through, sliding down candle after candle, while RSI presses deeper into downside momentum until it reaches the lower take profit target and the trade closes. One last point worth noticing. If price had instead broken a wall while RSI sat on the wrong side of the midline, the strategy would have skipped it entirely. That counter momentum break is the false move the filter is built to sidestep. And if no break had arrived at all, the setup would simply expire after 4 bars, leaving the strategy flat and patient, waiting for the next clean coil to form. That patience, only acting when pattern and momentum agree, is the core character of this approach. So that's inside bar momentum from top to bottom. We covered how it detects a 2-bar inside bar compression, how it requires the mother bar to be a genuine range, and how it arms the breakout walls and weights. We saw how RSI acts as a momentum filter around the 50 midline, allowing a long only above 53 and a short only below 47, and how ATR sets the stop, the target, and the break-even move. We also walked through both a long and a short trade on the chart. Everything here is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice, a recommendation, or a solicitation. Trading carries real risk, and losses do happen. If you found this useful, Please like the video, subscribe for more MT5 strategy analyses, and leave a comment with the strategy you'd like to see next. You can find more at www.algobot.live. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Trade responsibly.